Specifi permits also to insert custom-made items, not just standard equipment. First of all, before proceeding, we go to main settings. And we can activate in general section, we can activate scale width, depth, and height. With these three options are activated, as soon as we change the dimension of an equipment, automatically the software will scale the block in X, Y, or Z axis. We can press OK now. And now, if you want to create here a worktop in the middle, above the wall, okay, we can use 2D draw 2D shape from Specifi ribbon. I can click over there, and we can start drawing. This is like to draw a polyline. So I can start from this point to that point, and we can go that point, that point. At the end, I can press C for close, C option. I can type C and enter, otherwise I can select here close. In this case, it draws this rectangle on 0 layer. Draw shape, do 3D shape permits to draw a polyline on 0 layer, so it forces the drawing on 0 layer, and with the Z set to 0 at floor level. So now we have our shape, and I can press escape now. I can run from Specifi drafting section of Specifi ribbon. I can run special worktop. Okay, it asks for the extrusion mode. The first case, we can select a vertical top extrusion. Specifi loads the library, the electronic catalog, filtering by a special worktop. As you can see, we can find only a single product. You can switch to details view just to open the list of available accessories. Okay, and in this case, if you want, you can also can see here the backsplash. You can activate backsplash, and also you can select the material, and you can change also the material. For the moment, we can leave it as it is, so we don't use, we do not insert a backsplash, and we can leave stainless steel as material. We just have to press Add button at the top. I click Add. And the software asks me, how do I want to create the worktop? As we already drawn our rectangle, our closed polyline, we can choose select an existing baseline. And then we can select our polyline and press enter or right click to confirm. It asks me for the insertion height. Supposing I want to insert a worktop of 40 millimeters, I can type here, and the finish level of my wall is 1000 millimeters. Okay, I can type here 1040. So 1000 is the wall plus 40. This is the finish level of the worktop, and I can press OK button. The software created this and added also the tag. As you can see in main option, okay, if you want, you can remove, if you click numbering, if you remove the tag, the leader to tag, to equipment tag, or if you uncheck this, the software removes the tag. Otherwise, you can click over there and use, for example, .small, just to have also all the equipment with the leader connected. We can move to 3D isometric view, and we can also apply a shading, so realistic visual style, for instance, just to see how it looks like. As you can see, if we zoom in, we can see that we created a worktop in stainless steel above the wall. Now we can come back to our plan view to continue with insertion, and now we can see how to insert a special worktop along the wall. So first of all, we can zoom in close to the internal corner. As you can see here, the white lines identifies the wall tiles. And again, using draw shape, so I can call again draw shape, I can start drawing my polyline from this corner. In this case, I can use Shift or Control key pressed and right click just to access to the Quick OSNAP settings. And in Quick OSNAP, I can select intersection just to identify the intersection point between the two lines of the tiles. This is my starting point. So I click here, and after that, I can activate with F8 ortho function. I move to the right, and as dimension, I type 3,800 millimeters and press enter. In this way, I draw the first side of my worktop. Now I can move down and I can type 700 for depth of my worktop. Okay, now I can move back to the left and type 3,100 just to reach this point. I can move down now 3,600 millimeters and press enter. So now we can type again 700, or if you prefer, you can also use Shift or Control key pressed, right click, and use perpendicular to the first line of the tiles here. Now, when we have to draw the last section, the last side of the worktop, we can use close option just to close our shape. In this way, we have drawn our shape in this way. We can repeat again now, because we don't want to insert only the worktop, but we want also the backsplash. To draw the backsplash, you have to repeat with a draw to the shape, and you can start from this point. So if needed, again, from the end point here, we can draw to intersection there. And at the end, we can go to the end point over there. And at right click and enter to confirm. So I've drawn two objects. The first one is the shape of the worktop. The second object instead is the polyline along the wall that permits me to identify the backsplash. These objects are only 2D objects. Another thing we can do is to use, for example, from home of AutoCAD, we can call fillet command. Okay. If we want, for example, to round this corner, I can press R or click here for radius, just to specify the radius, 300 millimeters. Otherwise, you can change the value. I can press enter and click the two sides, select the two sides of the wall I want to round. As you can see, when I select the second side, okay, it creates this rounded shape. Well, now we are ready to work and to draw our worktop. we can come back to specify. And in this case, instead of running a special worktop, first of all, I select the worktop. If you select the shape before running the command, when you run it, okay, the software doesn't ask to select the shape. If you want to select to make a vertical or horizontal extrusion, because it automatically recognizes you selected a closed polyline, a closed shape, so automatically it switched to vertical extrusion. And so you don't have the message about which type of extrusion you want to create. It doesn't appear. Now I can select again my worktop. In this case, I activate also the backsplash, and I can switch. I can replace the accessory selecting a different backsplash. Here you can enlarge the description. So you can select 150 millimeters and 20 millimeters of thickness. I can click select button and I can press add. Now we can set the height above the floor, 900 millimeters, the finish level of our worktop, and the thickness. We can leave it this information as they are. We don't need to change them. We can press OK button. Now the software already selected the worktop because we selected at the beginning. And it asks just for the backsplash line, to select the backsplash line. I suggest you to make a zoom in order to select only the line. And then it asks for an internal point to the worktop. If you want, you can click here just to have the internal point. The worktop has been created. As you can see, you have also the tag. Of course, the tag, you can move the tag at the end. Okay, in order to move the tag, you can use Pick Style from Specify ribbon. And now you can select and use the grip, just removing F8 to place the tag and the leader line where you prefer. In this way. And then you can come back and press again Pick Style to group all the objects again, all together. Okay, if needed, as you can see, this is the insertion, the center of this entire shape. We can switch to 3D, so isometric southeast, okay, and apply realistic visual style just to see how it looks like. As you can see, the worktop has been created. If needed, you can also use 3D orbit just to rotate. So now we can continue with inserting the equipment under the worktop, or creating another worktop also using a lateral extrusion instead of vertical extrusion.